Hi YouTube friends, I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead, and today we're going to talk about the 10 dangers of using essential oils, or the 10 top dangers of using essential oils. So generally speaking, essential oil use is very, very safe, and you just need to know some certain things so that you're all set. And by the way, I am a certified professional level aromatherapist with NAHA and AIA, and I'm working on my clinical studies, and I do work clinically with clients, both with herbs and essential oils, and I just really love that. My husband and I haven't purchased or used over-the-counter drugs or even prescription drugs in over 10 years now because we make everything ourselves, and it's a blessing. We save money, we're self-reliant, we're prepared because most of the plants grow right outside in our yard, and it is definitely something that I love to teach other people to do. So if you're interested, be sure to check out my website. But very, very quickly, let's talk about what essential oils are. So essential oils are the volatile compounds of a plant. They evaporate very quickly, and they're not actually oils in the sense of the word that we usually think of oils. We usually think of fatty oils or the lipid oils when we think about oils, and essential oils are not fatty or lipid. They are volatile. They evaporate, and they come from the special little chambers in some plants. Not all plants have essential oils, but many do. With some plants, you can gather a lot of essential oil. They contain high levels of them. In other plants, it's harder to obtain the essential oil. So those oils are going to be a lot more expensive. So the most common way of obtaining essential oil from a plant is through steam distillation. And you can also cold press certain plants like citrus. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And then there are your absolutes and your CO2 extracts, which are a completely other chemical process. But we're going to stick with the basic ones. But let's go ahead and talk about the 10 top ways essential oils are dangerous and how you can be sure that you're being safe with them, because that's very, very important. You can hurt yourselves more easily with essential oils, I believe, in my opinion, than you can with most herbs. Most herbs are quite safe. Essential oils too, if you know what you're doing. But the first reason that you might be working with essential oils in an incorrect way is just by having the wrong information. There are a lot of bloggers out there on the interweb sharing recipes that who know nothing about the essential oil that they're talking about. And many people have just enough information or knowledge to be dangerous, to be honest. So be sure that you vet the person who you're talking with or getting information from. Super important. Number two, using poor quality essential oils can be very, very dangerous. There was a study done, and I can't remember who did it, but there's a high percentage of essential oils on the market that are adulterated with chemicals and fragrances. And the thing with fragrance is they are highly toxic a lot of the times, and we don't have any way of knowing what the toxicity level is. So when you are applying essential oils to like an infant or a child or your own skin, just know that those chemical compounds, whether it's an essential oil or just a commercial product, those chemicals are being absorbed through your skin, and they do get into your bloodstream, and they can cause health problems, especially over time. So you want to be sure that you are working with pure, unadulterated essential oils, and the best way to do that is to be very, very comfortable with the company that you're buying them from. Here's where you don't want to buy essential oils. Please don't buy them from your big box stores. Don't do that. Don't get them at your grocery store, not even most health food stores, okay? Just don't. Just know that those are mass produced. They're likely to be adulterated. Be sure that the company is sourcing the essential oils directly from the steam distiller or the small farm. That is one of the best ways to be sure that you are obtaining a fresh, good product. You don't want to purchase essential oils from a person, for example, who is buying the essential oils in bulk from a company and then relabeling them under their own business name. To me, that's extremely dangerous. There are a lot of unsustainable practices going on in the essential oil world, as well as, nefarious practices in terms of adulteration and in terms of just the whole process. So quality absolutely matters. So if you run across a person who tells you that they are saving you money because they're getting rid of the middleman, for example, or that admitting that they're buying the essential oils in bulk and then relabeling them, please avoid those. I'm just telling you right now, they might be okay for making soap or rinse off products, but they're not okay to use therapeutically. So beware of that. Quality matters. Number 3, another thing about essential oil usage that can make them dangerous is that the amount that you use. So the amount of essential oil you choose to use throughout the day can be somewhat dangerous. So I love essential oils and I love to diffuse them. I add them to my lotions. I use them to inhale directly from inhalers. I use them as perfumes, and I tend to use a lot of essential oil. However, I know which ones I'm using. I know what the toxic load is, and I'm very, very careful about that. But if you're a person who's like, let's just say you're purchasing from an MLM company and you have to buy a certain amount of essential oil every month to keep yourself in good standing, and you're building up your bottles of essential oils, you might feel like you need to use them, overuse them actually. Well, that's dangerous. That can, not always, but it can build up a toxic load in your body. So you don't need a lot of essential oil, but you do need the right amount, and that takes some practice and some learning. The next danger is, and we've probably all heard about this is the danger of phototoxic essential oils. You need to know which ones are phototoxic and which ones are not. So I've heard some people say that the citrus oils are all phototoxic, and the citrus oils definitely are some of the phototoxic oils. They're not all citruses are phototoxic. For example, tangerine is perfectly safe. Even lime and lemon, if they are steam distilled and not cold pressed, are relatively safe. So it's a good idea to do a little bit of research if you're using your essential oils topically on the skin to find out what the maximum dermal dilution is for phototoxicity, just to be sure. The toxicity of an essential oil is caused by chemicals called furanocoumarins, also known as FCLs. So if you buy, like bergamot is highly phototoxic and you love bergamot, you can actually purchase it where it's been processed to have the phototoxic chemical, the furanocoumarin, taken out, and that's really helpful. So if you're planning on using bergamot topically, you can absolutely do that, and then you don't have to worry so much about the toxic load. You might be wondering too, what is the problem with phototoxicity? So phototoxicity can cause sunburns, bad rashes, skin sensitivities, and lots of problems. And the worst cases I've ever seen in pictures, I've never seen anything like this up front, would be burns, and it's just horrible. The next thing to know about essential oil use is that they cannot all be used the exact same way. So some essential oils are just fine to be used neat, and that's without a carrier oil on the skin. Honestly, there's not too many of those, and I never recommend that practice. But just to let you know, like lavender is good, is fine, it's very safe. Frankincense also is quite safe. But just be aware that using a carrier oil is really important, and diluting properly is very important. Also, as a certified aromatherapist, I have found over and over again that dilution in a carrier oil actually helps the essential oil get absorbed into the bloodstream and go to work faster. So just be aware of that. When you hear somebody telling you just to use it neat on your skin, please, that's a red flag right there. So just know that you need to do some additional research on that and be sure that you're using that essential oil correctly. I also want to say that we always hear that no, essential oils can't be used internally. To be honest, essential oils can be used internally if it's done right. The problem is that the layperson who might be told by a big MLM company to drop some essential oils into their water is not using them correctly, and you could be harming your esophagus and your stomach lining, and you don't want to be messing with the mucosal linings of your gastrointestinal system. You're setting yourself up for some big problems. And the problem with that is that if you're using essential oil in your water, for example, over time. And by the way, the reason why not water is because the essential oils and the water don't mix. The essential oil floats to the top, and it does come directly into contact with your fragile mucosa. You're not going to notice it right away, but if you're doing this practice over a year or 2 or 3, whatever, all of a sudden you've got really bad gastric problems. There you go. That's likely the reason. And when you're giving your kids these things, that's even like worse. You've got to be so careful with your children. So be aware that some essential oils can be used internally, but they need to be used correctly. And I prefer in an oil or a fatty substance like milk, like whole milk is good. The best thing is don't do that unless you talk to a certified aromatherapist who is trained in internal use. You can get an aromatherapy certification and not ever be trained in internal use. So just be aware of that. Be sure if you're working with an aromatherapist that you vet their skills and their training. Very, very important. Some essential oils can be diffused, but they should not be used topically, for example, or even internally. Wintergreen is a great example. With wintergreen, you can use it topically if you use it correctly with the right dilution, never internally. Another danger with essential oils is that some people feel like, hey, this essential oil is working. I'm just going to use it every single day for whatever it is. And to be honest, some essential oils that are hot, the hot oils, for example, should be used short-term only for acute situations. Oregano essential oil is one of those. Now, I know there's an oil of oregano, and that's a different thing than essential oil, oregano essential oil. So know what you're using. Another example of using essential oils inappropriately would be for respiratory use. So some essential oils like eucalyptus, for example, and many others might contain chemicals like 1,8-cineol or menthol or camphor. These chemicals are generally very, very good for helping to open up the respiratory system, but when used with very young people like children or babies, they can be very dangerous. So you need to know what you're working with once again. So that would go along with the next danger, which is assuming that if an essential oil is okay to be used in a certain way with an adult, that it's okay to be used that same way with children. Not the case, not the case at all. An essential oil that comes to mind is Vitex, which is chasteberry essential oil. A wonderful essential oil for women who are experiencing, hormonal needs and things like that. It supports the hormones and everything. But if you have a child who perhaps, let's just say, started her menstrual period very early, like at age 9 or 10, which is more and more common these days, then that's where you don't want to use Vitex as a PMS support or something like that, because it does affect the hormones. So just knowing what essential oils can be used with what populations is very, very, very important. The next danger with essential oils has to do with your pets. Some people assume that just because an essential oil is safe to use with people, that it's okay to be used with pets. That's not the case. And our pets are all different. We have birds, we have, of course, mammals, we have reptiles, we have fish, we have complete carnivores like cats, and then we have omnivores like dogs, and we have herbivores like horses and goats and cows. So you need to know how to use certain essential oils with certain kinds of animals, and also you need to understand dilution rates. You also need to understand how to diffuse, if your animal isn't the home with you, how to diffuse essential oils safely, because some animals cannot and should not ever inhale certain essential oils. So you need to understand that too. Number 9 is using essential oils while pregnant or nursing and making the assumption that it's safe, just as it was before you were pregnant or nursing. You guys, if you are pregnant or you're nursing, please know that everything you take into your body or put into your skin is going to have some kind of an impact on the fetus or the baby if you're nursing. It's just how the nature of the beast. So with that said, I'm just going to say my opinion of herbs and essential oils is that they are much, much safer to use for common ailments when you're pregnant or nursing than over-the-counter products are. Absolutely. But With that said, you do need to be aware that some essential oils should never be used while pregnant or nursing. Just don't. You know, some are safe, some are not. And if you're in doubt, don't use it. Be sure to talk with a trained aromatherapist if you have questions about that. The other thing is, too, is that some essential oils actually have emmenagogue properties, which means they stimulate the uterus. And if in a case like that, you absolutely, just throwing this out there because it's all about the chemistry of the oil, but in some cases, you don't want to touch an essential oil if you are pregnant. The 10th way is not being properly educated. If you are a person who just loves the smell of essential oils like I do, and you want to diffuse them and you just kind of go crazy with it and you buy a ton of essential oils and you're just diffusing and putting them in your lotions and creating your skincare with them and all that, but you're not educated or you don't know where to go to look for the right information, then you're setting yourself up for some troubles. Here's an example of that. I came across this recipe from a blogger who put together a quick little ebook on how to use essential oils. It was so dangerous. And the lady was saying, you can put this on your children and blah, blah, blah. No, it was a 26% dilution. Keep in mind, dilution rate should be somewhere between 1%, generally speaking, and 5%, generally speaking. Sometimes you can go higher. Sometimes you need to go lower than that. But 26%. And 4 of the essential oils in her blend were phototoxic. I cringed, and she was saying, use this on your kids. So I'm just telling you that if you are not educated, you are dangerous. If you are not certified in aromatherapy, or at least have taken classes from a certified aromatherapist, and I'm not talking about the MLM companies either. I know they have their own special certifications, but be sure to vet every single thing you hear. And sometimes a person can be certified and trained, and maybe they need to be called out on something too. It's just a way we keep each other in check. But please be sure that you're working with and getting information from an actual certified trained aromatherapist. Herbalism is a little bit different. There's no governing bodies for herbalism. So in that case, you want to be sure that you know who the person is and what their training is. But we're talking about aromatherapy here. So that's just what I'll say about that. And those are the 10 biggest dangers of essential oil use that I want to share with you. I think they're all very important to understand. With that said, please don't be afraid to use them. Just get information. Be informed. I do have a book that I wrote a couple years ago called The Ultimate Essential Oil Reference Guide. It's full of dilution charts for different types of individuals and even animals. It's a great safety reference. So I'll put a link to it below, and you can pick that up if you like. But it's definitely well worth the money. And just with that, if you're a layperson and don't have any training, you're going to be able to keep your kids and yourself and your animals relatively safe. And if you have any doubts, please just reach out to me. I'm here for you. Many of you know it's my goal to get an herbalist/aromatherapist in every extended family fast, because things are changing out there. Big government, big pharma, big everything are starting to censor natural and alternative health methods. And I'm just going to be honest with you. My husband and I have been able to become completely self-reliant in our health needs. And I'm just talking basic ones. If I broke my leg, trust me, I'd be down at the hospital getting that taken care of. But we've become self-reliant in that regard. And unfortunately, you'll listen to these prepper channels, and you know what they tell you to do is go stock up on all these medications. And no, they have a shelf life, and also they're toxic. So the best way to be self-reliant and empowered in your healthcare is to learn how to use the plants that God gave to us for that reason. That's simply it. And I'm Heidi Villegas. I'm about to go on one of my rants about this topic, because I'll talk about it forever. But I love you guys. I have free gifts for you in the description below. You can pick up your free herbal remedy guide and cheat sheet, or your How to Relax book. And I'm going to be coming out with some more for you. And be sure to pick up that Ultimate Essential Oil Reference Guide if you're interested in safe essential oil use. All right, I will talk with you later. Please subscribe if you like this, and I will see you in the next video.